Hey, what's up you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I have been off and on just working on stuff, and I've been helping Sean out with his Twitch streaming, which I will have links for that down in the description below. So check out his Twitch channel because it would really help him out, and I'm trying to help promote him a little bit. But otherwise, I've been a little lazy, so that's why this video is coming a little bit late compared to the last one. But I did get some requests for specific video ideas to do, and so I kind of wanted to expand on some of those. Life has been wild. I mean, oof, boy. It's been crazy lately, so I think, you know, taking some requests for things that people specifically want to see is probably a good thing. Just because, you know, I want to try to bring some light into this super dark world right now. Hopefully make some of your days, make you feel a little better. So, today I'm taking the request of a very good friend of mine to discuss my past bands and the process that went into making them. As some of you might know, I have been in and out of bands for years. It's always been my dream to be a musician. When I was very little, I first discovered rock and roll music. Probably when I was about 4 or 5, I discovered rock and roll music. My favorite song when I was like 4 years old was Dragula by Rob Zombie. Like, that's the kind of stuff I've been into pretty much my whole life. And so it's always been my dream to be a rock star. So I've had a few bands here and there, and some of them have been successful, some of them haven't. All of them have broken up, obviously, or they wouldn't be past bands. But I just wanted to talk about that a bit today. Let you guys in on some juicy details of what kind of stuff I've done in the past and what happened with it, where it went, and why. So, let's jump right in. First band that I ever made was called In Sorrow's Reign. I was the founder. It was edgy emo-core. Now, this band is barely worth mentioning, but it's enough of a story that I feel like telling it is going to be at least remotely entertaining. Basically, I was super edgy emo kid. I wanted to form a edgy emo band when I was, 15, 16 years old-ish. And so I started this band called In Sorrow's Reign. We had all of our musicians besides a drummer. We were still looking for a drummer. But we thought, okay, well, let's start writing some songs without drums, because we got a really good guitarist, a really good rhythm guitarist, a decent bassist, and me on vocals. Now, it all sounded great in theory because we were all decent at what we did, and we thought, okay, sure, let's go for it. But this douche nozzle named Kyle was our lead guitarist, and he was so egotistical, so full of himself, and just didn't really vibe well with any of us. He just cared about him. It was all Kyle. And so what ended up happening is every time we would get together for practice to try to practice our instruments, start writing songs, etc., Kyle would not let us practice. He just would go on and on about, listen to this new song I learned to play, and check out this sick gear I got from Germany, and oh, let me play, it's not your turn yet. And he would just take the entire time that we had to practice. And obviously I was still in high school at this point, so really our lunch hour in the music room at our school was the only time we had to practice, and he would take the whole freaking hour just bragging and showing off. And so we didn't even get a full song written ever. We started writing a song, but we didn't even finish it. So we never performed, we never got very far because Kyle was just a show stealer and it didn't turn out well. But, so that's why I say that band was barely worth mentioning, but I thought it was entertaining of a story to be told. And second musical project I did when I was about 17, was called Apocalypse Noble. Now, you can still find my Apocalypse Noble music on YouTube. If you look up Apocalypse Noble Fall from Grace, please don't. But if you really want to, you can look up Fall from Grace by Apocalypse Noble. That was my first music project that I actually made some songs with. I think I made about 4 or 5 songs. Now, mind you, they're all terrible. Fall from Grace is easily the best out of them. It's the most well-written, the most well-timed, because I didn't really know what I was doing when I was making this music. And I was literally doing everything on a laptop. I did all of the instruments, everything. It was like industrial synth, so I was capable of doing so all on the computer, but I was doing it all in GarageBand. And I was singing and screaming into a laptop microphone and just using distortion and stuff to make it sound like I meant it to sound like crap. So, not very good music, but it was, you know, at least I did something with it. It felt good to me at the time, because I actually made music. I could actually go and listen to a song that I had created and recorded. And that made me really happy. Even if it wasn't the best, I felt proud of myself. I felt accomplished. And I had this whole persona going with it too. I had created this like fashion sense and this Lord Cadis persona, which was like the lord of this post-apocalyptic world that wields a saber and wears a gas mask all the time. And so I had this whole persona going on, and it was kind of cool. It was cool, but it definitely wasn't my best work. Now, after Apocalypse Noble, took a little bit of a break from bands and such. I probably stopped making any songs for Apocalypse Noble when I was like 18, 19 years old-ish, somewhere around there. And that's about the time that I came out as non-binary. I was going through a lot of stuff, just trying to get my life together. I had just moved out, and so I needed a break. So I didn't make any music or do anything really other than, you know, play guitar on the side for a couple years. And then when I was about 21 is when I finally joined a band again. And what happened is I found this American Visual Kei band. And I've always loved Visual Kei since I was 14, and I've always wanted to be in a Visual Kei band, but I was like, oh, that's never gonna happen because it's pretty much a Japanese thing, right? So I found this American Visual Kei band and was like, this is super cool. I can't believe there's a Visual Kei band from America. And they were called Jet Set Gypsies, and I thought they were super awesome. I still do. I still love them to death. But I started following them on Facebook and such, and I left comments and shared their stuff because I thought they were great. And the vocalist of the band, and basically the band's leader, ended up messaging me and was like, hey, thank you for all the nice comments and stuff, and thank you for sharing our videos. It really helps us out. And I responded back to him and was like, yeah, of course. I mean, you're basically doing what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a Westerner that was able to form a Visual Kei band, and that's super cool to me. And he was like, well, we have a spot open. And I was like, oh, go on. And he told me that they needed a bassist. And I was like, well, I play guitar. I've never played bass before, but I'm sure I could pick up bass pretty easily considering that I play guitar. And he gave me 2 weeks to learn like basic stuff on bass and was like, get back to me in 2 weeks. If you can play some basic chords on bass by the time that 2 weeks is up and you've got the method down and such, then we'll recruit you. So I spent 2 weeks, I immediately went out, bought a bass guitar, because I didn't even have a bass guitar, I'd never touched it. So I immediately went out and bought a bass guitar and started practicing and learning what I could, presented what I learned to him 2 weeks later, and he was like, you're in, you're on. Unfortunately, the band was based in Colorado, and I don't live in Colorado. So I was practicing, I was learning what I could, I was working with them, communicating with them. I did a photo shoot for the band and everything, which I have like a postcard somewhere of me with the band in the photo shoot and such. But it was hard because I needed to move to Colorado in order to really do much with them, and I struggled to get there, and so it ended up that I, wasn't really liking playing bass because I've always wanted to be a vocalist. That's been my dream, is to be a vocalist, not a bassist, and I basically picked up bass for this band. So I wasn't really liking playing bass. Relocating was becoming exceedingly more difficult, so it was hard for us to do anything or get together without me having to travel to Colorado to do that. And so I ended up just leaving the band. We kind of mutually agreed that, yeah, me leaving the band is probably for the better. As far as I'm aware, they're still together, and I haven't seen any new music from them or anything yet, but I have no idea. I don't know if they're on hiatus or what. I've lost contact with most of the previous members, so I don't know what's going on there, but that was an interesting experience. It was nice to be, in a visual Kei band, even though I didn't really do much due to issues with relocation and stuff. It was one of my favorite experiences, just being able to communicate with them and work with them and come up with ideas with them. It was awesome. Now, the next band I was in shortly after Jet Set Gypsies, about 6 months after, I started actively seeking out a band to join, because I had been in a band for the last 2 years. Yeah, I was like 23, 24 at this point. I had been in a band for the last 2 years, and so I was like, I don't want to let that go. So I started actively seeking, through the medium of Facebook groups, etc., a new band to join. And I found this band that was recruiting vocalists, and I was like, hell yeah, that's exactly what I need. I want to be a vocalist. I don't want to be a bassist anymore. So I hit him up and was like, yeah, I can sing. I can sing in both male and female ranges. I can scream. I can do pretty much whatever you need vocally. And they asked me to come audition, so I did. I made this little recording on my phone of me singing and screaming, and it sounded really good on my phone. Like, if I played it through my phone, it sounded amazing. But I got there and plugged it into their speaker system, and God, it sounded horrible. So I was like, I don't know what happened. Like, the audio itself sounded horrible. Not necessarily my singing and screaming, but the audio was so bad you couldn't even tell whether or not my vocals were good. And I don't know what happened there, but it was kind of funny. And so I ended up just performing live for them and being like, look, this is what I can do. And they took me on. I ended up being in that band as their lead vocalist, and it was super awesome. That was the most successful band I have ever been in. Jet Set Gypsies was pretty successful, but this band was called Asylum. Not sure if I said that already, but anyway, they're called Asylum. And we did amazing things. Within the span of 3 months, I'm not even kidding you, within the span of 3 months, we went from being a newly formulated idea to having an entire demo written and recorded. We had 4 different record labels interested in us, including Metal Blade Records was interested in us. They wanted a PR package from us once we were ready to put one out. We had done a massive photo shoot at this haunted asylum in, I think it was Tooele, and we had shows booked. I mean, we had the works, and not only that, but we got one of our songs on K-Bear 101, a radio station here, on their late night metal show. And we were super successful. We had done so much, we had worked so hard. And then stuff kind of happened. I don't want to say too much just because I don't want to, you know, really put any kind of damper on the people that were involved for anyone who might remember my old band and what happened and the people that I worked with. I don't want to give them a bad name or anything. But basically stuff happened and 4 of us got kicked out of the band for reasons. And the 4 of us that got kicked out later copyrighted and took possession of all of the music we had written and started going under the name Archangel. And we were going to continue as Archangel, but I was pretty much the only one who maintained any motivation after everything went down. So we just never continued. But if you look up Archangel Vices on YouTube, you can still find our music video, because we did record a music video. That's another thing I didn't mention. We recorded a music video in that time as well. So 3 months and all of this happened. But I would say go check out our music video. It's probably the best piece of musical work that is available on the internet that involves me. So definitely check that out. But unfortunately, that band went downhill. It ended, and it sucked because we were doing so well. And after that, I've tried to do some solo work, etc. I do have some devious plots musically, so I've got some stuff coming up there. One of those devious plots, the only thing I'm allowed to divulge right now that I'm working on, is that I will be doing some covers on this channel. I'll be covering some music by various artists and posting those vocal covers on this channel. So keep an eye out for that. If you like music, if you like musical covers, I will be covering some music here, and you can enjoy, hopefully. So that is basically my musical history. That's what I have done, what I've worked on. I could go into more detail about each and every one, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll give each one its own video at some point, or at least Jet Set Gypsies and Asylum, considering those were the 2 that I put the most into. But that's the gist of what I've worked on in the past in my previous bands. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit about it. I hope it maybe took your mind off of everything that's going on right now. And I will be back with more videos very soon. I'm gonna be taking my YouTube pretty seriously now. So I'm hoping at least 1 video a week. That's kind of my goal, but if I can do multiple, all the better. So keep an eye on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below if you haven't already. Hit that little notification bell so that you can know when I upload something new. I would appreciate it a lot. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already, though. At very least do that. That's something that's going to help me immensely. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. I love you all. Mwah.